Thank you, Mayor, City Council, City Manager. Very happy to be here tonight with the public art presentation. You saw this picture earlier too. This is a rendering of the amphitheater area of the improvements at the Aviara Community Park. It's located in central Carlsbad and is a 24-acre park near the intersection of Poinsettia Lane and Ambrosia Lane. Park improvements here include a community building, large shade structure of a group picnic area, outdoor fireplace, passive lawn area, a stage with a shade structure, picnic nodes, and public art. So for the artist selection process, $69,100 was identified for this project as part of our 1% for public art from both the Aviara Park and Poinsettia Park improvements projects. In preliminary discussions with the Parks and Recreation Department, it was determined that the next phase of the Poinsettia build-out would have a larger pool of public art, so we opted to pool these two smaller projects together so that we could have sufficient funding to generate a public art project as part of the Aviara Park. We issued a national request for qualifications. 4 artists finalists were invited to present themselves and their past work to our Public Art Selection Committee. In accordance with the city's Art in Public Places program, we assembled a Public Art Selection Committee panel to review and select the artists as well as recommend the final designs to the Arts Commission. Michael Mclaughlin was selected and we contracted him to create artwork designs. Preliminary and revised design concepts were presented to the Public Art Selection Committee, who provided direction and ultimately recommended the final designs to the Arts Commission for consideration. The Arts Commission approved the designs and forwarded them to you tonight for City Council review and approval. Here's a list of our selection committee. In all of our public art projects, we assemble a selection committee that's made up of project team members, residents and neighborhood stakeholders, architects, designers, public art professionals, and arts commissioners. So for the placement, this is an aerial rendering of the amphitheater, and you can see that the artworks represented by the 2 red dots will be sited approximately 30 feet or so to either side of the stage and shade structure, and this is at the west end of the park, which looks out towards the ocean. The proposed artwork is going to consist of 2 5-foot bronze sculptures. A little bit about the artist, Michael Mclaughlin. He's a bronze sculptor from Torrington, Connecticut. He actually learned construction and engineering in the U.S. Air Force. He then attended the Lyon Academy College of Fine Arts as a sculpture major with a minor in painting and art. He's worked as the lead sculptor and historic preservation artist at RF Designs, the Historic Preservation Department at the New England Carousel Museum, where he worked as the lead restorer on wood sculptor on turn-of-the-century era carousels and machinery. He studied foundry technology in the United States, Thailand, and Spain, and he actually has his own bronze foundry at his property in Connecticut. He's won numerous awards for sculpture, and over the last decade has been involved in an extensive number of exhibitions and commissions all over the U.S., including the New Britain Museum of American Art and the Connecticut Governor's Invitational Exhibition in 2015. So for this project and the design process that Michael goes through, he visited Aviara Community Park both in the morning time and in the afternoon. He collected stones, pine cones, leaves, really sat in the park trying to enjoy the nature of the park and just have an experience there. His observations of hawks, quail, and other wildlife informed his decision to include them in these works. For Michael, the design process really in the recording of an inspiration and basic illustration of artistic elements that will be developed later as he casts and fabricates the works. So simple line drawings provide him with a roadmap and a visual reminder that it's really just to get him going and get him working as an artist. So you can see from the simple sketch on the one side of the page, he really does work through that to create very beautifully handcrafted works of art. And you can see in the finished form that there's a lot more detail, and the outcome is quite a stark contrast from the minimalist design drawings that he provides. So the final design concepts, the Public Art Selection Panel and the Arts Commission have recommended Myriad and Manzanita and California Quail and Cone for this project. Both are bronze sculptures and will be approximately 5 feet tall and fabricated and installed with the understanding and appreciation that people are likely going to interact, touch, and possibly climb on them. It's It's anticipated, and the artist is embracing that. Each piece is set in about 3 foot of concrete footings, and it's made in a way that it's with steel reinforcement that's very safe, and that's the intention, that people do interact and have an experience with this artwork, as well as looking at it and enjoying it. So in this picture, as well as this one, we're trying to give you a sense of scale and scope and the idea of what the size of the work is. One, a miniature tree with a number of surprising and whimsical natural elements, and the other as an oversized California quail and pine cone. So the Staff and Arts Commission recommendation and request to you today is that approve the artwork design concepts for the Aviara Community Park Improvement Project, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Dr. Bagger?
Well, I have no objection to the quail because it is the California state bird, and it's a beautiful bird, and I love it. But I will say I was surprised to see that was selected to represent that area, because, like I said, I haven't seen any quail in that area, and I didn't hear anybody else that has either. But you mentioned, Vince, that the sculptor had. So I will presume that they're there at other times of the day than I am there, and so I have no objections, and will support the staff's recommendation.
So with that, I think we're all in support, unless there are any other comments. Ms. Wood, if you'd like to make the motion on the resolution.
Certainly. I would like to ask if council will approve the resolution approving the recommended public artwork concept designs for Aviala Community Park Improvement Project.
Second.
Please vote. Let the record show that this item passes unanimously. Last, item 10, approval of resolution appointing one member to the Planning Commission.